Hey guys, this is Braminc for CardRunners.com, bringing you a brand new video. It's been a while. I haven't been making videos for a few months, but I wanted to do one on the One-Drop. Actually, I want to focus on the final table and also even more zoom in on just really ICM spots. There's a lot of deep stack play. Actually, they're actually pretty shallow. There's not a lot of deep stack play, but there is some, and I'm not going to comment a lot on those. The broadcast should be coming out soon, and I'm hoping for some good commentary there. Perhaps this video will come after the broadcast, by the way. But I think ICM is a spot that, people don't pay attention to as much in MTTs. You get to the final table, and suddenly it's a really important consideration. Now, I do think that that's less true nowadays. People do pay a lot more attention to it. But we have a couple semi-amateurs, I would call them, on this table. I think like people like Katz, Solomon, Tom Hall, Paul Newey. I feel like their name pops up a lot. They play a lot of poker, and they're probably really good players and probably play a lot of cash games as well as tournaments. So I'm not going to consider anyone at the table a novice by any means. But some may pay more and less attention to ICM. For instance, Daniel Coleman, who ends up winning, is a heads-up guy, and he perhaps has never studied a single second of ICM, which is totally fine because he crushes at what he does. But there's a couple spots where I was just sort of surprised at a couple of different calls and things like that. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to look at. It's also a really good learning opportunity for certain like fundamentals of ICM, like different stack size, how that affects your bubble factor, and analyzing payout structures and how to adjust your strategy for that. So the first thing to look at is indeed the payout structure as well as the stack sizes. So you can see stack sizes right here as well as seating arrangement. So take a quick glance. You'll see that we basically have like half short stacks and half big stacks without much in between, which is kind of a interesting spread. So we have Paul Newey as the really short stack with 4 million. And then 4 stacks between 7 and 9, and then the other 4 stacks between 20 and 23. So what does that generally mean? Well, it's kind of weird. Usually the middle stacks have to play the tightest. The biggest stacks and shortest stacks need to be, or should most often be more aggressive. Here, it's kind of funny that we only have bigger and shorter stacks, so it's kind of tough, but I would say that the shorter stacks, the 7 through 9 millions, should be pretty much waiting for Paul Newey to make the first move. For the most part, unless they have a big hand. Obviously you got to play certain big hands, because he's got 4 million chips. And if you let me scroll up here and see the blinds right now, they're already 600,000, but we also have a 75 ante, so that really makes it more effectively like a 1 million big blind, because if you take 75 ante times 9 players, that's like 675,000 just in antes at the table. So take 2/3 of that to the big blind. You can take 1/3 of that to the small blind, and you'll have about 1,050,000. You'll add 450 to the big blind. So that puts Paul more at like 4 big blinds in terms of what I call effective big blinds. He'll have more fold equity than you might have at a real 4 big blind spot, right? Because he's got more like 7 big blinds. So he does have a bit more fold equity than a true 4 big blind stack, but really not much more, because whoever's in the big blind or whatever else position is also getting much better than normal odds to call because of all those antes. So that's just very general sort of opening statements. I wanted to look at the payout structure. Let me put it in the corner here so you can see it next to the stack sizes. So 8 people cash, which is obviously pretty important since we're on the real money bubble right now. And even though, places 8 through 5, don't seem to make a whole lot of money in terms of profit, I think anytime you have a $1 million bubble, it's just a big, it's a big bubble, because you're just recouping your initial investment is obviously a big deal here.